Hey guys, Ashlane here coming at you today with a new updated guide for GoLaLoon at Town Hall 9. So I'm going to show you a few raids today, but before I do that, let's go ahead and discuss the strategy a little bit beforehand. So why new guide at all? Well, the game has changed a lot. I mean, there's 30 extra seconds at Town Hall 9, you have a new dark spell, bases have changed a lot, and objectives have changed. We'll get to those in just a bit. The goals have changed big time. It used to be on those very easy earlier attacks at GoLaLoon, we would see the objective was only to kill the enemy Archer Queen, Clan Castle, and one air defense with the kill squad. Now things are a bit different. We'll get to that again in just a little bit. So why am I going to show you guys anti-3-star max bases? I mean, what about all the people who want to use this attack strategy on lower end bases? Well, it's always been my philosophy that going against max bases, you can take those lessons and just apply them to whatever level base you're attacking. So, I mean, the general rule for an attacker is always attack someone who's roughly the same level as you, especially heroes wise, and you know, base is a good barometer for that as well. Minimum heroes for this really depends on the base you're attacking, but I prefer level 10 or above on both heroes. Let's talk a little bit about the army you'll be using as well as the objectives. So the kill squad is very important. Obviously, this will set the table for your LaLoon backend portion of the attack, and your kill squad is going to consist of 1 or 2 golems. Most of the time it's going to be 2. 2 of the replays will be 2, another one will be 1. We'll talk about why the differences between those two compositions. And you know, the kill squad is still relatively the same. You want to take down 2 air defenses and the enemy queen. The ideal scenario here, you're going to be using 4 earthquake spells to access 2 air defenses. So when you're looking at a base, that's the first thing you're going to think of. Where do I put Earthquake to open up an area where my kill squad will be able to take out 2 air defenses? So your army composition, the base, the foundation is going to be 2 golems. You can see 2, 3, 6, 14. That's 2 golems, 3 lava hounds, 6 wizards, 14 balloons. Now, we'll play around with different compositions, but that's a good solid foundation if you're just starting out. So different spell compositions, I already told you about the 4 Earthquake spells. Also, we're going to be using a Rage spell, a Haste spell, and a little bit of flex there. We're going to be using poison spells and another haste in a different replay. And then when to start phase 2. Timing is so critical in all of these attacks. We'll talk more about that as we actually watch them live. So this first replay here by Deathcap from Red Elite, a really nice hit here using, as you can see, the army and spell composition that we just went over. So this base is pretty easy to figure out where to attack from, right? You can open up that little area where you just did with the earthquake spells, and then send in your 2 golems, create a nice funnel with the wizards, and then you can access the 2 air defenses as well as the queen. It's just important that you take your time here because you want at least one of your troops to hit that second air defense that's way up in the north. So he puts down his heroes now. He has a nice funnel going towards the center of the base. He's really going to rely heavily on that Archer Queen to eventually take out that air defense. But when she does, it's going to be totally golden for the second half of the attack here. So, as I said, timing is critical here. We have a wizard on that air defense. We have the poison spell on the clan castle. I do advise bringing at least 1 poison spell. In the next replay, we'll see 2. But 1 poison is pretty safe for most attacks. Now we're going to start seeing the LaLoon portion of the raid. Now, Deathcap is going to choose to deploy 3 lava hounds all at 1 air defense. That's because look at this base, right? You can actually sneak in 3 lava hounds at 1 air defense and then put a nice big buffer of balloons behind them, and they just encompass the entire base. Now you're only working with half the base because that heavy kill squad was able to take out almost 50% of the base. Now always use back end balloons. Always save some. Even if you don't do it at the very end of the raid, you can send them in from different directions because no matter how much you deploy your balloons separately, they're always going to be apt to clump up towards the middle or towards the end of the raid. So when you save some balloons for the back end, that's why we say back end balloons, they're going to head towards defenses and not clump up with the rest of the balloons. That's really important to mitigate the effect of splash damage on the enemy base. So you can see Easy peasy, a Lava Hound's still alive, the Queen's still at full health, and he took down that base, made it look really easy, right? That's because it's a good formula. And here's the same type of formula by our Achilles in Red Elite. Now, it's kind of a similar type base design in a lot of ways. The air defenses are kind of symmetrical. They're all 4 towards the center of the base. He's going to open up a little bit more towards the interior because remember, guys, it's important to access 2 air defenses with the kill squad. Now, what do I mean by access? I mean that you have to open up the walls so that your heroes can get to the air defenses. You can't just rely on them to, the Archer Queen, for example, to shoot over the wall. You want to make sure she's actually in a walking area because the Queen's AI is a little funky. I actually brought a guide to Queen walking that you might want to check out for more information on that, but a Queen directional guide, if you will, but she'll head to different areas if you open up different areas of the base, so it's very important to open up the area where you can access 2 air defenses. So again, this time 2 poisons, gonna help melt that dragon a little bit faster there. Barbarian King Rage, when he gets, you know, around 50% health, or once he reaches a more critical area of the base. The Queen is now on that second air defense. Now let's focus on the Hound deployment and timing here. So Achilles does things a little bit different than we saw in the first replay, and this is actually another good option here. He deploys 1 Hound in the heavier defensive area, 1 Hound followed by, I believe, 8 balloons, and then he waited a few seconds, made sure that Hound is attracting the rest of the troops, and he sent the second Hound in from the northeast, followed by the remaining 6 balloons. So obviously in this situation, you don't need the back-end balloons because for all intents and purposes, those 6 remaining final balloons that we saw sweep in at the end were basically the back-end balloons. So we're still using the back-end balloons, but this time we just used them under the cover of an additional Lava Hound. So this is another great combination there. Did I say 1? I meant 2 Lava Hounds at the first air defense, 1 at the remaining air defense, the second air defense. So that would be a great combination there. Now lastly, flipping the script, let's use Queen Walk into GoLaLoon, and this raid is by Xavier B from Red Elite. Now, let's discuss the army differences, right? So there's 1 less Golem, 1 less Hound, and we're using Jump instead of Earthquake. Why are we using Jump instead of Earthquake? Does anybody know the answer to that question? Okay, no one knows? No, joking, but the answer is because we need to use extra rages to keep the Queen alive. Now, anytime you're going to use a Queen Walk, you need at least 2 rages, unless you really have a great idea that she's going to be very, very safe, because you got to figure you're going to use 1 rage to keep her alive at least, and then maybe 2 as kind of an emergency situation spell. So right now the Tesla's on her. Teslas do a decent amount. They can really cut through those queens fast, so you got to keep an eye on her health at all times here. He needs to access the center of the base, and they are successful, and there's the first rage spell. Now when he sees the Lava Hound come out of the clan castle there, he actually has to send in a wizard to help take down that Lava Hound because it can take a queen a while to do so. Now, you guys aren't going to believe me when I tell you this, but this was a fresh hit on this base. This happened as soon as the war kicked off, and Xavier just pulled off a really nice attack. This is not a cleanup attack. So he didn't know there could have been giant bombs there blocking that wall breaker's path, but he made it work there. Now the Queen has access to 3 air defenses. So now he has a golem and the king, followed by a few wizards coming in to take out the enemy queen in the south. So we can see that there, and we can see up north, if you bring your eyes over here back to the queen, he's using a second heal spell, a second rage spell to keep her alive. Now things are looking pretty good. The queen has 2 air defenses down. That 3rd air defense, she's going to make her way over there, but timing is really key, like I told you in the earlier replays. And he's running I wouldn't say short on time, but look, there's only a minute and 40 seconds, I believe. I think he had 10 seconds to spare after this. That's the thing you got to be careful on these queen walks. They take a lot of extra time, so time is always of the essence, even though you have the 30 seconds. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you the updated guide, because queen walks are much more viable now that you have the extra 30 seconds. So now that the queen takes out the 3rd air defense, now we can send in the rest is pretty easy. You guys can guess what he's going to do here. He has 2 Lava Hounds, sending one in from the north, one in from the south, balloons backing up both of the Lava Hounds. How do you know how many balloons to put in each area? Well, that's pretty easy, right? You just count the defenses, especially the point defenses, and you have to really make sure you have a keen awareness of what defenses will be targeting the balloons and what defenses will be targeting the Lava Hound that is leading the way, therefore distracting them away from the balloons, because you don't need as many balloons if the Lava Hound's going to be in close proximity. So only 1 or 2 balloons will take out a wizard tower if that wizard tower is facing the Lava Hound. So my general rule is 2 balloons per archer tower or point defense. If there's a lot of point defenses in one general area, then you can go ahead and when you deploy them in a little bit of closer proximity to one another versus a more spread out deployment of the balloons. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this guide. I love putting out these guides. It's actually been a little while. It's been a couple of weeks since I put out a guide at all. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I want to hear from you guys. What type of guides, strategy guides, would you like to see next? It can be any town hall level. Please comment below. I really appreciate it. We'll read all the comments. As always, take care, guys.
We don't play for fame, we don't play for cash. We just play for the glory and the clash of the ash.
Hey guys, before I let you go, be sure to subscribe and check out my other channel. It is 3-Star Vault Clash of Clans, an aggregation of 3-star attacks sorted by town hall level and strategy. Thanks for watching, and as always, take care, guys.